Hello folks, it's Madison. I'm back with another Halloween card video. This week's video I tried to do more of a frog themed Halloween card video because I like frogs, as you can tell by the name of this channel. So for this I used almost all the frog images I could find from Fawn. I used the Totally Awesome stamp set, Don't Worry Be Hoppy stamp set, Say What Spring Critters, the Happy Harvest stamp set for the little crows and some pumpkins and the little wagon, and the Pick of the Patch stamp for more pumpkins and other Halloween accessories such as like the knife and the scoop for the carving. And I'm stamping them with my misti onto 110-pound cardstock from Micheals, and I'm using Gina K Obsidian ink. As per usual, I am coloring all my images with my Copic markers. For all of my crows, I am using N9, N7, and N5 for the bodies, and I am just going in with my darkest shades, using my midtones to blend that out, and then going over top of everything with my lightest shade. So yeah. Here I am going in with wire 18 and 04 for the beaks. For my bigger frogs, I am using YG17, YG25, and YG03. Once again, laying down my darkest, moving to my lightest, and as you will see later, after I have the initial wash of colors down on my frog, I will go in and add dotting texture just to add more interest to the frogs and make them more frog-like, if you will. So. I'm just using those same three shades to color in the frog bellies, and I used the same 3 color combo on all of my larger frogs. For my smaller frogs, I'm going a bit darker just to add some differentiation between all of my images. So I'm using YG67, YG17, and YG25, and using the same process of darkest to lightest, and I'm also adding stippling texture to my buddies just so that they look a little cooler. They aren't so flat and they look more like frogs. So, and I'm just using that on my other little frog dude on the side there. Just to keep everything cohesive, as I usually do, I am using the same 3 kind of greens on these carving utensils as well. So for this scoop and for the handle of the knife, I am just using YG17, YG25, and YG03, using the same greens as the frogs, just trying to have an overall color palette that it's all cohesive and it makes sense. And here I'm using N5 and N4 on the tires for the wagon. And here, I'm sorry it's so zoomed out, but I'm using N2, N0, and N4 for these metal components on the wagon, as well as for the knife. Moving on to all of my pumpkin images, I'm using YR18, YR07, YR04, and YR15 for all of them. It's okay if the blending's a little bit streaky. And for the stems, I'm using E27 and E25. And for the pumpkin guts, I am using wire 15 and Y35 for the guts part, and I'm using E30 or E55 for the seeds. For the wagon, I decided to do more of a wooden wagon type of coloring, so I am adding a wooden grain, and I'm using E27, E25, and E23. So I'm initially laying down my darks and adding some shading, and then later on I will just kind of scribble on a wood grain texture, and that's kind of how I achieve that look. It's my first time ever trying to do something like this, and I think it turned out pretty cool. And I got a lot of die cutting. So here I got 2 hills from the simple Hillside dies, and then I got these panel or tab pieces from the Scalloped box pop-up card die. These rectangles, I got 2 squares and 1 rectangle. They are cut from knock on wood paper. These bigger card pieces, and I got 4 of these. I got 2 rectangles, 2 squares, cut from Bristol Smooth cardstock. All of the dies besides the hills and the grass pieces, they were all from the Scalloped box card pop-up die set. So on my Bristol pieces, I added some of this resist spray, let that dry, and here I am adding some distressing just to give it more of a sky look. I'm using mustard seed and carved pumpkin, and I'm doing that on all of my pieces. With my skies done, I am taking this Grassy Hillside stencil from Fawn, as well as peeled paint distress oxide ink, and I am just masking it off, if you will, and I am just dabbing the ink on top, making these grassy hills. So that's pretty cool. I felt like it's more cohesive with the inside of my card, which has these grassy hills as well. So yeah, after my ink has been dried, I am then taking a clean towel and rubbing off the excess ink to kind of let the distress resist shine through. Next, I am creasing all these pieces, so I'm folding in half, creasing that. I'm creasing this tab and one of these flaps. I'm not creasing the other larger rectangle flap, as I want that to stick straight up in my final card design. On this piece, however, I am just creasing everything for this card in particular. I mean, you can crease them all, it's up to you, but I just wanted one of my larger rectangles to stick straight up for my card backing, so that's kind of what I was going for. Next, I am just mounting these 2 pieces together using some Be Creative tape and putting them on one of the flaps and lining them up together and gluing them together. However, I am not assembling the full card. I am just leaving it like this for the time being. Next, I'm taking both of these squares and this rectangle cut from knock on wood paper from Fawn using the Scalloped box card pop-up dies. These are the larger square and rectangle pieces. I am mounting them with my ATG gun to the front of this card, if you will, and I'm just mounting them onto these panels that have a fold in them. I am not gluing them to the piece that is not folded, as I'm going to put like a larger rectangle on that piece on the back, and that will be where I will kind of write a note for my recipient for this card. And I'm just making sure those are nice and glued down and that they won't move. I am taking these hillside pieces I had cut prior, and I'm just kind of lining them up with these tabs, and I'm marking off how big they need to be and trimming them accordingly. And then I am mounting them onto these tab pieces with my ATG gun, lining them up at the bottom and just making sure they're stuck. And now I am creasing these tab pieces on the side here and adding some Be Creative tape once again because I want a good hold. Next, I am taking these hill pieces now that they're dry, and I am gluing them onto the card. I am gluing them onto all of these pieces. So I'm gluing them upside down on the folded ones, as they are going to fold down and then they're not going to be upside down anymore. I'm sorry for explaining that so badly, but it makes more sense when you're doing it, I promise. And then for the one that isn't folded, I am gluing it right side up. Alright, next I am assembling these scenes for the inside of my card. First, I am gluing my little frog dude to the inside of a pumpkin, as well as putting the little pumpkin topper on his head to look like he's popping out of one. How cool. I am using multi-matte medium glue to glue everything together, as well as an acrylic block to ensure he glues flat. Next, I am kind of gluing down this knife where I want my other little frog dude to be, and I'm gluing him on top of that as well, just to assemble my scene. You can do whatever scene you want. You don't have to do what I do. I just kind of thought this would be a cool idea. So, and I'm actually quite happy with the way this turned out. And then next I'm gluing down my other frog, as well as the pumpkin guts. On my next tab piece, I am gluing down this wagon, as well as a bigger frog. For these bigger pieces, I am using the ATG gun, and I'm gluing down this little crow on top of the pumpkins as well, because, you know, like, why not? It's cool. It's great. And I'm using multi-matte medium for that because it's a smaller piece. So next I am putting these tab pieces into the card. So I'm doing my best to line them up on this tinier panel, I guess. And I'm just spacing them out. And then I'm going to fold them back, remove the liners, and fold the card and smush it down. So that is the best way I find to glue these tabs into the box, because it allows it to fold nicer and fold flat for mailing. And then I'm just closing the whole box with the tab on the other side. So that's kind of how it looks. I realized here I had glued one of these tabs way too close to the front, and you couldn't see all of the detail I had put in. So I'm just moving it manually. Next, I'm just taking this little banner I had cut out. I think it's from the Double Slider Surprise die set. You can use any kind of banner you got. And I'm just using this sentiment that says "Smile, it's Halloween" from the Pick of the Patch stamp set. I'm embossing this with some Simon's Stamp clear ink and some Simon's Stamp embossing powder in antique gold, because I thought that would look kind of cool. And I'm just heating that up with my heat gun, and I'm gluing that onto the front panel of this card. So yeah, that's pretty cool. For my pumpkins, I did add extra detailing that I didn't really show in the video. So these pumpkins from the Pick of the Patch stamp set didn't have ridges like the other pumpkins in my card did, and that bothered me, so I drew them on myself with a Sharpie marker. Next, I am adding jack-o'-lantern faces to the majority of my pumpkins using the Pick of the Patch stamp set and some Gina K ink, and I'm just stamping those bad boys onto my little pumpkin dudes. Very exciting. I also added detailing with my gel pens to all my images before I had glued them down, because it makes it a lot easier. Next, I am taking this rectangle piece I had cut from some white cardstock. I used a Lawn Fawn rectangle die for this, but of course you can just cut it to size. And I'm just stamping a sentiment from the Totally Awesome stamp set that says, "You're totally awesome." Very cool. And I'm using Gina K ink for that. And I will be gluing it down to my card box thing with my ATG gun. So I'm just gluing that onto the panel that I had that wasn't folded, just to kind of keep it straight, as well as give me a place to write. So yeah, next is the final step in this card box, and that is just adding decoration and just kind of doing whatever you want. So I mean, you don't have to do exactly what I do, obviously. So I'm just kind of gluing down all these pieces I had colored wherever I wanted. I'm gluing this frog front to the front of my card, so it looks like he's hanging off of it. And then I'm gluing the back piece to the back, so it looks like he's hanging. And it's got a little frog butt. It's great. I'm pretty sure it's from the Don't Worry Be Hoppy stamp set. So that's pretty cool. I thought that was one of the best attributes of this card. I think it's so cool. And then I'm just kind of using a mixture of liquid glue and tape runner to glue down all my other images on the sides here. So with all the gluing done, that about finishes this card. So thank you very much for watching. If you would like to, please subscribe, comment, like, share. Helps a lot with the channel. I also have an Instagram linked down below, as well as all the products used. So thank you. Have a good day.